I'm going to click starting the webinar, and let's see that special webinar for this month. In today's webinar, we will have two amazing coaches and an amazing speakers in a topic that is becoming more and more popular, trending, important for all of us to learn more about. I really can't have the enough or the right words to introduce our brilliant speakers for today, so I'm going to leave that for them, starting with Claire and later on, inshallah, Coach Sameera. So Claire, can you tell us, please, and introduce yourself to everyone here?
Sure. So I'll give you a zubda, a little brief nutshell introduction. And then it's actually part of the slides because we're all going to do something around that. So I was originally born in Manchester in the UK, and then I've done work and lived in the Middle East for about 20 years now, in fact, more than that. And in Saudi Arabia, in Riyadh, Jeddah, Dammam, Al-Asha. So I have toured Saudi Arabia in different organizations, Sadara, Aramco, Samref, National Guard Hospital in Riyadh, and Saudi Investment Bank as well. And so I was originally co-founder and vice president of ICF Bahrain, and then co-founder and president of ICF Doha, and I've just stepped down with the 10-year closing as president in Doha. So I'm so excited to be with you all this evening. Sameera's actually got an engagement with EMCC, and she'll be joining as soon as she can get off that call. And what we would love this evening, hello from Bahrain. What we would love this evening is, there's some of our grads on the call. Dip in, share your experience. If you're here and you've never done any team coaching, brilliant. And if you're here and you're pretty experienced, then join in the conversations, because I always find with these events, what's fabulous is, of course, it's about knowledge share and the skills that are required and the ICF team coaching competencies. And it's about us all learning together. So whenever I've done these, I've left also with some fabulous learning myself. So without further ado, I will just find my slides and let's begin. Here we go. Okay, so this is two things this evening. Real team coaching, and I don't want that to sound like we have all the answers. However, there is quite a lot of team coaching happening in the region, and for some coaches, they're in their infancy. For some organizations, team and group are confused, and a team engagement such as team building is called team coaching. So what I really want you to leave with today is to dispel myths, to uncover truths about what is real team coaching, a proper long-term team coaching engagement, as opposed to just team building. Now, I'm not putting team building down in any way. However, hopefully by the end of this session, you will have a bigger, wider angle lens of what team coaching really is, what it involves, the way you can promote it, and the impact it can have on our world. And I really want to stress here, it's not just a thing for organizations, it's for not-for-profits. You can coach families with team coaching, okay? Groups of teenagers who want to work together on projects, That is team coaching, moving from a group to a team with a shared purpose. So if you're a life coach and you're thinking, hey, I'm interested and maybe, I'll get something out of this, not really sure, I guarantee by the end of it, you'll see the ways that it can fit into any coaching engagements with more than just you and the coachee in front of you, the client. But also, the other element tonight is really tapping into what is a systemic lens. And people sometimes use, is it systemic or systematic? Or is it about the system? So we've got the system, just like, think of your body. You've got the digestive system as one example. All the bits working together to make that systemic. It's about what way does that system fit in and interact, and what's the learning between the systems, and what's the relationship between the endocrine system and the nervous system and the digestive system, because all of it, using that analogy as the human body, is at play at the same time. And a little tweak here can improve what's going on here. And when there's, let's say, something not moving smoothly, a blockage here, it can negatively impact the whole system. Okay, so more about that coming up. Now, I really feel it's important. There's some of our unique ideas that I'm sharing, and I also need to acknowledge those that have come before, those that have trained me, all the books that have informed my practice. If anyone wants, after the session, if anyone wants a list of some of the books I'd recommend, Reem and the others, I'm very happy to send that around as well. So you may know some of the names on there, and some of their language, of course, I will be using, because using a shared common language with the similar definitions really does help us as coaches in the field of team coaching to have clarity. And the clearer we are together and united, the clearer it is for those clients of ours out there who want to tap into team coaching. And of course, with all of this, there's that education piece. The education piece about what it is not, what it can do, when it's appropriate, and so forth. So I've listed here just a few of the different types of organizational coaching and where we're moving to, and all of those can use team coaching competencies, even when it's group coaching. Individuals that may have their own agendas, however, they're having coaching together. In fact, my first, I'd say, proper experience of group coaching was actually at the Capital Club in Bahrain with a group of female Saudi entrepreneurs who came over the bridge. Gorgeous location up there. It's about the 33rd floor up, overlooking the sea. Who can't complain at that? Who can complain even? And they were all working on their own businesses. However, the group coaching supported them because, of course, the marketing element, the promotion, we can't get to the match list. What way do we network? All of these issues were similar. So that's group coaching. Now, if they were a team, whether it's a leadership team or the procurement team, etc., in an organization, they have a common shared purpose. And that is team coaching, where you're coaching the whole team, and there's more of that to share as well in terms of definitions. And then on the other side, career coaching, again, the team coaching competencies can work with teenagers, people returning to work after families, bereavement. That is an area where team coaching can have impact with families and friends as well, because there's the commonality where they're moving forward together. And yet, of course, potentially at different stages. So close your eyes. Close your eyes. And here's what we're going to do. I want you to tap into as wide an angle, lens as you can go when I read out these questions. So think of you, think of those around you, family and friends and colleagues and the health workers and the other people in your village or town or city, and then your country, and then the connections beyond that. And of course, there's people on this call from so many countries as well. I know that because I know some of the names, and the impact of the way we're working and living right now with COVID and before that as well online. So with your eyes closed, just have a think about these things. What will team leaders' development needs of future organizations look like? What are development needs now, and what's on the horizon, and what's beyond that? With our volatile, uncertain, our VUCA world. What's the impact of globalization on teams? What ways are the needs of various stakeholder groups addressed? So what I mean by that is when you're working with a team, you are not just coaching the people in the virtual or physical room. You're coaching the people behind them, beside them, that came before them, the ghosts that have left the organization and they still linger, and the people after them who we don't even know will be joining that team at present. And the stakeholder groups, internal, the finance department, the C-suite, and then beyond, the external stakeholders, the clients, the customers, the government, regulatory authorities, other services, communities. What ways can a future back approach be adopted, where we look and tap into what's needed in the future and the ways we can address that now, keeping the stakeholders in mind, serving the needs of the people that our team was set up to serve. And my opinion is the horizon, because of what we've all experienced in the last year, is that bit closer than it used to be. And we need to work iteratively with agility. Things come in left, right, and center. Things come in parachuted on top of us. And we need to be resilient and adopt different approaches for problems we've never experienced before. What are the emerging ways to ensure virtual and dispersed teams stay connected? And we can tap into the knowledge in the systems of organizations. For example, one of our grads is at Lego. They've been coaching online in teams for years. It's not a new normal to them. What way can we learn from the systems? And what's the place of diversity, equality, inclusion, belonging, mental health and well-being, social responsibility, ecosystemic coaching, which is something that's got a lot of publicity recently. What's the impact of these things in every coaching session, whether it be one-on-one teams or groups, or even with agile coaching, organizational, or what we call enterprise coaching? So some people say that the ICF competencies, it's all about non-directives. There's been a shift recently with the new competencies, the 8 new ones, and I've never had a coaching conversation with anyone, be them a young person, be them a senior CEO or a member of a royal family, where other people are not present in the room during the conversation. And I don't mean physically present, it's their wife or husband, it's their children or friends, it's their colleagues or the communities they serve upon. And equality and ecosystemic awareness taps into, either without us knowing or consciously, into so many coaching engagements. So keeping these things alive and being aware is not directing coaching. It's actually uncovering what's already there. So open your eyes and let's go to the chat. And I know one of the team in Saudi are going to support me with the chat box. From what's just been said, what are your biggest thoughts right now in terms of having a wide angle, systemic lens and approach to your coaching? Let's see what people say. And it's fine to type in Arabic because I can't understand it, but I know that some people who will read it out for me certainly can. Farah's laughing there.
Absolutely. We'll translate. Team
Okay.
coaching is the future, from one participant, Mike Jackson.
Hey, high five, Mike Jackson. So here's a really interesting thing, and Mike knows this already. We coach teams, we're actually also indirectly coaching the other people that aren't in the room. We are also having such a bigger, positive, transformational impact on organizations and communities when we coach teams. Why? The whole is so much bigger than the parts. There's more people in the room. We have more impact, and all those ripples, all the ripples of all the people present actually grow. Anything else, Farah?
Not at the moment. Okay, could you explain what you mean by systemic coaching?
Sure. So Peter Hawkins, Eve Turner, and a number of other people have done webinars, and there is definitely more going on because AC, ICF, and EMCC have joined together in terms of ways that coaching can support our ecosystem, our world, our environments, climate change, and so forth. And here's the thing, initially when I heard about it, I thought, gosh, that's leading. Actually, some people want coaching on those issues. It's their agenda, and they need ways to think about what's in and out of their control. So diversity, inclusion, equity, all of that is actually part of our ecosystem as well. The way we are as human beings with each other, things, the planet, and even beyond. Maybe there'll be life on Mars one day when we manage to live out there as well. Does that help? I hope so. So have a think now. Think of the last person or team or group that you coached. Who was the client? The person in front of you? Organizational coaching. Who's the client? Is it the coachee that I'm coaching? Is it their line manager who knows they're good and wants even more from them? Or maybe there's a little bit of underperformance and wants to align in terms of expectations. Is it the HR? Or in team coaching, the executive sponsor the person who assigned us up for this team coaching engagement? Is it the C-suite and the CEO who signed it off finally? Or is it the organization's clients who the team coaching is really serving? So the types of questions, we'll go there in a sec.
Yeah.
The types of questions we need to think are this. Not what do you want coaching on today? What do you need coaching on today to serve your clients? Can you see the difference? Farah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. You paused there for a second. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Don't worry at all.
People joining the conversation, they're saying, know the organization, the client, and the sponsor is the client. And then there was a comment about that, about diversity. Probably that was from the previous slide. Equity and diversity are different things to different people. So these
Absolutely.
are different comments.
Yes. And different laws as well and so forth. You know, it's that stuff under the iceberg and, you know, tapping into beliefs. And also scripts, if anyone knows about transactional analysis, the things we have lived with and made up in our lives. And then when we have coaching around them, it's like, I thought I believed that, when actually, interesting stuff. So have a think now. Yes, of course, the person in front of us and whoever signed the contract. So we have 2-, 3-, and 4-way contracting in team coaching, and pure team coaching or real or proper team coaching. It's about coaching the whole team for a long-term engagement, at least 3 months, sometimes a year. And it's also coaching the individuals in the team and especially the leader one-on-one. So it's coaching the team together and the individuals one-on-one. That's the platinum model. And when the coaching takes place, it's outside in. What do they need out there, our internal stakeholders and the ones outside the company? What do they need us to shift to serve them more efficiently, effectively, add more value and more impact? What's your thoughts? Any comments? Ever thought about it that way, Farah?
Some comments are, one more thing, all of the participants are the client, is the client. And then may I share a story? Mike Jackson is asking. Is that a good time for him to be sharing one, or
share
should
your story, Mike, as long as it's this big, because we've got so much to get through. And I love your stories anyway.
So, Masala, good evening. Just very quickly, I just tell this team coaching with Tesco's. During the late 2010, 2012 period, Tesco's had a real problem with their beef burgers, and they found that they were actually using not beef, but there was horse meat in the beef, and it caused a real ruckus in the UK. But actually it was team coaching that actually went through and solved that by getting into the supply chain management and developing with team coaching an aspect of making sure that the quality control went right through to the it was actually in Eastern, I think it was Albania or somewhere, that they were actually getting the horse meat put in. And they developed a whole system to make sure that everybody got paid the right amount of money so as they could all work properly and maintain the quality. But that was team coaching. Over to you.
Thank you. And then the analogy also, Southampton football team in the UK, of course you've got the people on the pitch, and you've got the trainers, and you've got the manager. Some football teams have also tapped into team coaching around who are we being as team players. Pretty progressive, and yet absolutely on point. Who are we being as team players? It's not just about what we're doing. And Mike, you alluded to the connections in the system all need to be surfaced to enable change to happen. Thank you. Mike's a project manager. He's coached so many teams over the years, and coaches project managers who are leading teams. Fabulous area. So why systemic coaching? Here's just a few reasons, too many for a slide. You'll get the slides later. So a collaborative dialogue between two or more people, that's systemic coaching. Learning and developing in relation with the world around us. It's adding impact and value. It's uncovering so much more than we knew about before. It's about we and not I. It's leaning into the needs. It's about increasing capacity for uncertainty. And don't we need that in the world? Reducing polarity. So what I mean there is sometimes it's like, it's this or this. Actually, there's a third, fourth, fifth, sixth and beyond option. When we're entrenched and we just see this or this, that doesn't create the best solutions. Tap into diversity, use the knowledge in the team and beyond to come up with the best solutions. Marshall Goldsmith, what got you here won't get you there. Now that is some fabulous learning for teams. Keep that front and center when you're team coaching. And then generative thinking. What I like about your idea is this, and then I add to the idea. Now, if that type of conversation where I acknowledge what you've said, and then I add to it, I might multiply it, I might put it to another use. All these creative ways we can work to solve problems, and some problems that we don't even know exist until we get into the juicy parts of organizations. So generative thinking is a fabulous tool, and not just in the team coaching room, in business as usual, in meetings, and really real team coaching, the type of team coaching that shifts systems and ensures transformation as opposed to just change, also means that the team coach is there during BAU, business as usual, having the privilege, once the trust is gained, to observe meetings, engagements with clients, to actually, hey, toot, time out of time. What I'm noticing now from my angle is this, and it may be about behavior, it may be about processes, it may be about interaction between two people, or it may be the way the team always communicate together. And it's data. And working from data, non-judgmentally, with compassion, enables change. So we have an activity, yay! Here is an example. So this was a coaching session the other day, and this is all the things that came up just in one session, and this and this and this and this, and drawing things or mapping them out can help people support the systems that they live and work in, and see the connections and notice the pressure points and work on what is needed. So I invite you now. We're going into breakout rooms and we're doing this really snappy, literally 5 minutes. Here's what you're going to do. There'll be 2 of you in the breakout rooms. If there's 3, that's okay. And I want you to think of a coaching engagement you've had recently. Share, just blurting. We don't need all the details of that coaching. All the people that were metaphorically or physically present in that coaching. So if I'm coaching the chief of finance, his team are present in that room, even though it's just me and him there. Okay, so go have a chat for 5 minutes, talk about stakeholders. and random twos is absolutely fine.
Dr. Clare, I don't think with the webinar setting we are able to do breakout rooms. It doesn't come with it because we're at the webinar setting.
Sorry about that. You know what? Here's what we'll do then. Take yourselves off mute. Is that possible? And unless there's some noise in your background, and I invite someone, Zubda, in a nutshell, what was the coaching about? And just blurt the stakeholders that were present in that conversation. Anyone like to have a go?
This is Alan from Saudi, and recent session, there is a client, and the topic was conflict on a team. Some of the stakeholders were the customers of the team, as well as the team members themselves, as well as the sponsors of the team. Maybe one of the primary stakeholders was the client themselves, who was a hypo that was being coached, and as well as the sponsoring company that owned the team, basically was sponsoring the team's operations, had contracted them.
Fabulous. Alan, thank you. Perfect example. It's like juggling the balls in the room and the balls beyond all at the same time, and holding that space for the team to uncover even more awareness of stakeholders that haven't been considered. Anyone else like to share? Ren, welcome.
Hi. I don't know if my picture comes up. Okay, so recently I coached a teacher who had started a new school, and she wasn't sure if this was a school for her, if it was going to answer her goals and what she needed. Within her ecosphere, her kids were there, her husband was there, her school department was there, her head of department, her head teacher, the school as a whole, the students that she taught, as well as within her aims, her goals, and her peace of mind and happiness. And you could even take it a wider sphere to the borough.
I love it, absolutely. And it resonates with me so much because it feels like another life, but I used to be a teacher of business economics.
I was a teacher as well.
So there's something really interesting in there. It's almost bringing in, life purpose. Why was she put on this earth at this time? And in a first coaching session, it's like, woo, that's a bit woo-woo. Actually, that and leading life strategically is so interesting as well. And we tap into, of course, the values and other things and the impact we want that she wants on that school and the community and beyond. Thanks, Ren. Brilliant.
Thank you.
Have we got one more? You may comment, Mike.
So what's just coming up for me right now is what's interesting is that both Alan and Ren, what they just said was very much about the people they were coaching, but there was no relevance to themselves. But actually, I think there's also an element of, from a systemic perspective, of what about the HR system that brought them in the first place, or the organization that brought them in, and what about their own lives and families that are impacted by their own coaching and their views around that.
And also with the teacher one, for example, what about the students in that system? And then the students' parents who are also stakeholders.
Absolutely.
And then, the oh gosh, examination systems and all the mess that they've got at the moment with what's going on. And it goes wider and wider. And then those students and their careers and universities and workplaces and. Do you get the idea? Let's move on. And thanks for all the comments.
We also have Ren. Yes. He's having his hand up.
Brilliant, go for it.
Let's
have one more. Absolutely. The more chatting, the more we learn.
Ren, would you like to speak? Your hand is up.
Ah, she's already spoke already, Ren.
Oh, sorry. Yes, I haven't lowered my hand. My apologies. Naughty hand.
Oh dear, that's funny. So let me just find my slides again. Da, 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 da. Oops, I'm sorry. I'm going to be, there we go. Yes, we're there. So, and what ways can we as coaches ensure that we partner with our teams to enable them to tap in the whole system? Well, one way, I've done it with the team in the last week. Stakeholder mapping can be done online in Jamboard and Miro, making stickers, moving them around. How close are they to us? How impactful are they on us? How much power do they have on us? How much influence do they have on us? How close do we need them to be? What way can we work even closer with them? Or what way can we reduce their influence because they are too influential and we need more autonomy? And you can even map it out when it's possible in rooms, literally on the floor. Get the team split into a few and then compare the different answers from the sub-teams during that activity. Honestly, you need about at least an hour for this. And it's amazing where those beautiful, deep conversations go. And we're there literally doing pure coaching and questioning and enabling them to think even deeper. So here is a nice little model that I use this quite a lot. So think about your authority, what you've got from your past, your experiences, your learning, your knowledge, the programs you've attended, the teams you've worked with. That's your authority. Your presence, who you're being, the way you are, tapping in to the sources of your energy. And then the impact. What presence do you need to create the impact that's needed for this team that you're working with in front of you? Now, I know there's a lot of writing on the right-hand side. These slides will go round. Here's what I want you to think about now. What needs to shift in terms of your behavior as a coach to enable you to serve your teams and all their stakeholders more powerfully? Let's see if anyone's got one word that they want to put in the chat. And this model from Nick Smith and Peter Hawkins is all about confidence. It's fabulous for coaches, team coaches, and it's also something we use a lot in coaching supervision. Personally, I really feel that team coaches need supervision even more just because of the multifaceted, complex, interesting, curious situations that teams are in. So anything in the chat, Farah?
There is agility coaching.
Yay.
That's the one that's shared right now.
Okay. Anyone else in terms of something you not want but need to shift in who you're being as a coach to have even more confidence for the sake of the teams and the stakeholders of that team that you serve?
Empowerment.
Oh, I want to coach you now. Empowerment, what, like what? And what else is there about empowerment? Because empowerment for who? There's so many beautiful things that come out of just that word. Is there anything else, Farah?
Perspective.
Beautiful.
These are the ones shared right now. Yeah.
Gorgeous. Peter Hawkins talks a lot about see things from the balcony looking down as a team coach, but also make sure you're on I'm sorry if this one isn't appropriate. It's his terminology. Make sure you're on the dance floor as well. Make sure you're in there being able to empathize from the team's perspective too. Anything else, Farah? I saw a few more clicks there.
Yeah, there is interdependence.
Hmm.
And Lena, who mentioned empowerment, she followed up. She said, because I need to be empowered and in the same time empowering my team.
Cool, cool. And Lena, here's an inquiry for you, if you'll allow me. You need to be empowered. What way this evening can you empower yourself? And you don't need to answer that. Something to consider. So much comes from within. So, introductions. I'm not reading through all this, but basically, when you think about authority, presence, and impact, and that's why I'm doing the introductions at this point, if you share with the exec sponsor or the team leader or whoever is signing you up for the team engagement during your pitch and all the materials you share, if you share your authority, you are so much more likely to win the work. And this is not arrogance, it's confidence. And the teams I've coached across sectors globally, online and in person, and in your sector, X, Y, and Z, obviously the ones ethically that you can share, all of that. And I trained in team coaching with X, Y, Z this many years ago. All of that is so important. So that's why I've put that slide in, because the way I was years ago, yes, I'm Claire, and yes, I'm a team coach, and you know, it was almost like embarrassing to share the qualifications. Actually, investment of time and money that's gone into this to serve teams, and obviously pay my mortgage as well, but to serve teams, that gets buy-in. That helps you sell the amazing work that we can do in our world. Make sense? So that's the authority piece. And of course, the way we are, who we're being, and then co-creating the impact, not what the team want, but that the team need to serve their purpose. And then we have Sameera, who has so many qualifications. I needed 5 slides. And here are just a few of them. So past president in ICF Bahrain, Scrum Master, and so many other things. We've tapped a lot more, just the last few years, myself and Sameera, into being certified Agile coach, Scrum, and so forth, blending the ICF competencies also with other ways for the sake of the work that's needed. And some of the organizations, I'm sharing that because it's about authority. And the ICF logo is the old one. I've just spotted that. So team coaching, the way we do this in terms of Coach Me team coaching, see that big, that thunderbolt. That is all the types of tools and techniques and activities and pure coaching sessions that take place with the team. Do you remember I talked about stakeholder mapping and ways to communicate more efficiently and effectively, and constellations, tapping in to the knowledge in the system, team building, team dynamics, force field analysis, ways to be even more resilient, all of those really fabulous things we can do with teams. And then the arrow, we're here, we want to be there. What way will we get there? So not so much about what we're going to do and using that as like, you know, a menu in a restaurant, working iteratively, seeing what's needed in that session, in that moment, and throwing any plans out the window when necessary. That big arrow is about the process. So first of all, there's the pitch, there's the pricing, there's the promotion, the commissioning, the clarity. What does this team really need? And then the diagnostics, assessing the environment, ideally finding out 360 where the team's pressure points, strengths are. That's the way we can plan a fabulous team coaching project, working from data from the team leader, and ideally 360 from all the stakeholders, even the ones outside the organization. And then after we've done the assessment, we share that and work together to draw up the roadmap. And then all that stuff from the light bulb takes place. And then of course, at the end, we hand over to the team and we can tap in along the line if they need it, but we're enabling them to coach themselves. We put ourselves out of a job for the sake of the team and their impact long term, and measuring return on investment. If you do a 360 at the start and at the end, you can see the growth areas that have taken place. There was someone's hand up, Farah.
Let's check.
Did someone want to ask a question? No?
Because, yeah, there's no
Maybe.
hand up at the moment.
Maybe it's gone down again. Okay,
There is a...
So here's our take. We train people all the way from initial coach training, 1 hour, an introduction to coaching, whether it's, you know, in a room or big stage, etc. We feel that for someone to tap into team coaching, having the foundational competencies is so important, and business acumen to be able to do the work of a team coach effectively. So I was invited by ICF to review their team coaching competencies before they went out. And also I've been used with them with people globally as a subject matter expert on team coaching, because ICF, yay, are moving like EMCC towards designations for team coaches. So you're not just ACC, PCC or MCC. The way it's moving, and it will take time, of course, is an actual designation as a team coach. And the, you know, the, I'm thinking of Willy Wonka's chocolate factory. There's so much going on in there behind the closed doors right now in terms of, should it be levels or not? Do they need to have ACTP or ACSGH before going into the team coach? All of that is in the chocolate melting pot, and then we'll get an amazing Wonka bar when all of that's discovered. So that's why we start enabling people to tap into a systemic lens from the get-go, right there in the introduction to coaching. However, team and board coaching happens at level 6, and we've mapped our programs to the UK qualification framework. So level 6 is degree level. Make sense? And that's our take on it. So we have here the model we use for one-on-one and team coaching. It came from 8 different major models. I trained with CTI many years ago, and then with Henley Business School, and also with the AOEC and Team Coaching Studio, and all of these different ways. I created this. Transition planning is not a discrete element in any of the other key models. Transition planning is so important in team and organizational coaching. Coping with setbacks and dependencies. Working iteratively, managing the milestones along the way. Celebrating as a team, believing in the process, keeping the momentum going. So that's transition planning. Of course, results are slap bang in the middle because that's what it's all about. Results for the team in terms of process and working more efficiently and effectively together. But it's also results for the purpose that the team was created for and the way those results will have a positive impact on all of their stakeholders and clients. And then, of course, it's an organizational model. This can be used for performance appraisal and also the team level objectives in terms of what skills do we have, what more do we need, what knowledge is there in the team now, in the team system, what else is needed for the way our engagements or strategies changing, and behaviors or attitude. What do we value? What are our actual ways of behaving aligned not only to the work we need to do, but to the organizational values? And then we totally advocate reflective practice at team level and individual level, and of course with the team leader, and action. And action, reflection on action. In that moment, what should I say next? Should I delegate this? Action for the team. Time out. What ways could you communicate even more effectively together around this topic? And then also reflecting on action. And if you were doing that project again, the retrospect, what ways could it have been even more impactful? And you see at the bottom, the field that we're working in, be it education or the health service or the financial sector, public, private, all of that stuff. And then the system. So bringing in the systemic lens. So there's the model. It's been translated. You can see the Arabic on there into actually over 25 different languages. We're still trying to find Klingon, if anyone can help us with that. Just translating into Tamil this week. That's a little bit more on the model. I'm going to move on that because I've said quite a lot. It's really about taking deep dives into the different elements of the model, skills, knowledge, behaviors, results, reflection, and so forth, but also dancing around the model, whatever's needed at that moment, and using things like morphogenic fields. So we have floor mats. You can step physically, when possible, without COVID, into results, and one team member stood there. Where are we on results right now? And what else needs to happen around results? And what specific results do we need out of this coaching session? And what will the impact of those results be on our stakeholders? Capturing the learning and tapping into those aha moments. The team coach enabling that to take place, holding the space for learning, disruptive, brave conversations to happen. And of course, there's culture in there and so many other things. And yet uncovering what the system really needs to work on and what the system really needs to shift, that's where the best coaching takes place. And then at the bottom, we use somatic work, embodiment, what's going on in your body right now. What are you experiencing with emotions? And using the word experience as opposed to feeling, because feelings doesn't land with everyone, but also asking a feeling question leads people to talk just about feelings. What are you experiencing is so much wider. And then we use psychometrics, individual psychometrics, and also team level psychometrics. So this is the type of thing that we feel needs to be covered in team coaching training. So it's all of that in terms of, here's my toolbox, that lightning bolt. Here's all the things I can go away with my bag of tools and use with the team. But then also process. And here's where I need to start. And then the psychological safety element. How safe am I working with this team? How safe are the team members in this team? And just think of the last year, I'm thinking of the health service, for example. How safe are the players in this system? And all of that and so much more is present in team coaching. So 2 little quotes there. It can be prickly at times. If you're thinking, hey, should I tap into team coaching? Don't imagine a nice flowing river where everything's smooth. You'll get that sometimes, of course. And there'll be other times when it stays with you during the evening because of what's going on in that team. It's beautiful work. It's fun. It's engaging. It has impact. And it can be deep. And then on the other side, the place of people in systems. Even just doing a timeline of the team. One team I'm working with at the moment, there's 18 in this centre. And understanding for myself, but more importantly, for the new members of the team, what came first? What was the conception? What was the original idea of this centre? Where is it now? What were the milestones? Where does it need to be to have the impact it needs on the clients? And that timeline is something that's really valuable for teams to consider. Where's my place? Not as a team coach, but you know, where are the places of the team players in the system? Whose volume's turned up? Who's not being listened to? Who's gone absent without leave, for example? So many things can be taking place in teams. Who needs to step up? And so forth. So what's the difference between a team and a group? I mentioned before the example of team coaching Saudi entrepreneurs. Sorry, group coaching Saudi entrepreneurs. So group coaching is a number of people together that have similar interests, and yet the coaching's for them. And you might coach one and the others are listening. You can even ask the others to join in, or you can even silently coach the whole group. And they may journal and then reflect afterwards. In comparison, team coaching is just one of a million definitions, but I like this one. It's a small number of people with complementary skills that are needed for that team to succeed, committed to a common purpose, ideally team level shared performance goals and approaches for which they hold themselves mutually accountable. I'd add to that, I've got your back and you've got mine. And we will challenge each other to ensure that the quality and the timeline and the budget are all met. Anything in the chat? I've talked a lot there. Farah, anything going on in the chat?
Purpose and accountability was shared while you were speaking.
So important. It's really interesting. In my 10 years of, so I've been team coaching longer, but I'd only say properly team coaching in the last 10 years. And it's amazing. With compassion, it's amazing how many teams are not clear on their purpose. Why are you a team? Yes.
There's another question. Share similar interests. What about their levels or ranks? How would that affect it?
So if it's group coaching, then it doesn't matter. As long as there's psychological safety and people are comfortable to be coached in front of others and comfortable to share, it doesn't matter. And culture can play a part in that as well, as we know. Okay, so this is a really, if you take nothing away today, take this. So what we've got at the bottom is team facilitation. So for example, just recently, I was doing some work with Keo, and what happened was they wanted something around resilience for the organization. So it's facilitating workshops for the purpose of enabling them to tap into being more resilient as individuals, but also teams. It's like this in the diary, repeated, okay? And not necessarily repeated, of course. And then we've got team performance coaching. What's going well in this team? What needs to shift in this team to work and perform even more efficiently and effectively, and with potentially more speed? And sadly, quite often with less resources, less money, less people. So performance, and where's the benchmark? And what way are we benchmarking to other organizations in the field that we work in? And then leadership team coaching, C-suite. And it's interesting here because quite often with boards as well, people come with their department hat on or their division hat, as opposed to coming as a member of the leadership team where we are driving forward things like strategy. So there's so many interesting nuances that are at play there. And I'd say with online work globally, but also working on the ground in the region, that's something that always needs drawing out. And then transformational. So we're looking there at task and process, and we're bringing in stakeholders. So I'd say that, you know, stakeholder-centered coaching, Marshall Goldsmith's work is here. And yet the work of Peter Hawkins and others moves beyond that, focusing on the outside in and future back, and really tapping into the knowledge of the systems and really uncovering what can happen when we take the intelligence of the whole system and address what we need to do to serve what's out there. So, what makes team coaching more complex and dynamic? Let's have some interaction in the chat. So, whether you're a team coach or not, what's your take on that? What makes it more complex and dynamic? Let's see what they say, Farah.
There are a couple comments. One is, there is one challenge for me. This is from Lena, especially if I'm doing behavioral corrections and need to be strict and firm sometimes. How can I do this in empathy and not lose the manager character?
So you are a team leader as coach. Is that correct? I think that's what we're tapping into. Yeah. So who do you need to be to serve that team when you're team coaching them? What does the team at team level, not individual level, need from you? What way are you there consciously, or I mean, I'm saying subconsciously, that needs a conversation to draw that out. What way are you there consciously with your agenda as the manager, as opposed to the team level agenda? What way do your team really tap into team level objectives? And this isn't dividing things up and becoming a group. It's working together to enable the team's output to be even better than if individuals did it on their own. And I'd consider some supervision. It's a hard role. If you've got an internal team coach or an external, you're then there as part of the team. When you're a leader or manager coaching your team, you're playing with power relations. So what work's taken place around ensuring a really detailed alliance of way of working together when you're coaching the team? What way can someone else in the team step into team coach and let you be a member of the team even more? There's a point as well. I hope some of those questions can help you think a little bit more. And the session's been recorded, so you can play them questions back so you can reflect even deeper. Anything else, Farah?
There is a comment from Abdullah. He says, team coaching more complex because you are dealing with multiple people as one client.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's always more than one client in the room, even when it's individual coaching. Anything else?
There is a comment about personal biases. And let's see, there's a new one here. Like Lena mentioned that sometimes I'm not able to understand it quite correctly, but I think it's either playing the mentor sometimes and playing the coach sometimes. This is what I understood from the question.
So obviously that needs unpacking.
Yeah.
Consider what's needed in the moment. And my answer would be coach, 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 coach. Mentor only when really needed. And then the other thing is, again, back to the alliance. Is it clear to the team that you're coaching them? Are they really clear what's a group, what's a team? Are they really clear what coaching is? Systemic team coaching and so on. So there's an education piece that's needed for things to be effective. I think there's a bit more in the chat, Farah, there. You're working hard. Thank you, Farah.
Different objectives and KPIs of each team member might be challenged. And there's a comment about misunderstanding as well. I think that goes with the personal biases and the purpose and so forth while you were talking.
Yeah.
And then there is, and they love it, some of them trying to run away.
Yeah, you know, sometimes there's fear. What's this crazy team coaching stuff? Never experienced this before. Of course, and then the bias. What's the stage of your organization in terms of performance management coaching conversations? How clear are objectives shared between the whole team? All of that uncovering can help the team to work more effectively. So much juicy stuff going on with teams. So Peter Hawkins talks about the 13th fairy. Quite often we realize that someone isn't invited to the party. The team coaching is taking place and someone, for whatever reason, their voice is not being heard. And there's so much more around this, but beware. An ideal way to start a team coaching project, and it takes time and it's amazing, is to have individual conversations with every team member. And hey, what's a team? Ideally, 3 people to 9 people. Some people disagree. There's a lot of research around this. If you get to like 12, 18, 25, it's a team of teams. It's a nested system. There's teams within that team, and it may be shift to focus on, for example, the leadership team, as opposed to building the whole organization if there's 25 people in the organization. So 13th fairy, make sure everyone's at the table. We talk about this one, the Little Red Hen. Look this story up if you don't know it. Little Red Hen basically grew the corn, grind the corn, make the bread. And of course, everyone else wanted to eat the bread, but they didn't help with any of the tasks along the way. You get that in a team. You get it 2 ways. The one who, I'll do it, I'll do it, I'll do it. And then they lose all their energy. Or, and they don't give others a chance to develop, or you get it where they're just totally lent on by other people. It can become victim. Okay, I'll do, like Eeyore. Okay, I'll do it again because I did it last time. Or maybe they just love doing everything, but it's being aware of the Little Red Hen. And then the Emperor's New Clothes. Do you know this one? So nobody would speak to the king about the way he looked. Basically, the king wanted a new wardrobe, and the tailor comes along, and what's made in the end is nothing. And the king, sorry about this one, parades through the streets in his amazing gown, which is basically him with no clothes on. And all the village are clapping at the side of the road because no one wants to tell him there isn't even a gown that you're wearing. Now, what happens in teams is quite often you can have people in the team. The team leader says something. Yes, I agree. Of course, that's the best idea. What do you think, team leader? Doesn't that happen? Yeah, the bowing down to the team leader. Does it produce the most effective teams? No, because others' voices are not being heard. Okay, and then rockabye baby. So what this one is, when the wind blows, the cradle will rock. When the bough breaks, the cradle will fall, and down will come baby, cradle and all. Teams right now in our world are going through so much. The working from home, the uncertainty, the financial pressures, the health issues, the fears, homeschooling of children, so much going on. How resilient are the teams that you're in, that you're working with? If something else comes that team's way, will they fall? Have a think. So here's a whole list of different concerns in terms of team coaching. So will they buy into it? Is there one person that's cynical? Oh, that's silly old team coaching rubbish. Treating the team leader as the client as opposed to the whole team, even colluding with the team leader. That sort of coffee break conversation. And we can find ourselves, sadly, as team coaches, keeping an eye on what the team leader's doing, and instead of seeing them as a team member. And then fear of the process. Will it be okay? Will it work? Not charging enough's another thing, because with team coaching, there's so much before and afterwards that takes place mentally, but also in terms of the actual project management. So consider that. And then focusing on this as a team event as opposed to a team journey, and so forth. I'll share them round later. So many different things that we need to consider when team coaching. Really important. When we're pitching for team coaching, make sure you use someone else as a professional sounding board. Have a think of the conversations you need to have with the person who wants to meet you. The types of things like, how many in this team? What do you need to ask them? What do you need to leave that conversation with? Begin with the end in mind. What do you need to hear them say? What do you need to walk away from? Sometimes there's conversations, it's like, whoa, it's not team coaching that you need, it's this, for example. What do you need to notice? And what, as the education piece, do you need to share with them to ensure that the team coaching is really effective? Have a think about this for that conversation. What specifically do you need to know? What way will you measure that conversation and make it meaningful? What way can you share effective ways of being accountable in team coaching. What way can the team coaching be realistic, relevant, achievable, reachable, resonant? What's the time scale? If they think, yeah, come in for a few sessions one week and hey, magic wand. It's not like that with team coaching. What way can you make it thrilling? They want to come to the sessions. What way will you evaluate it? And what's in it for you, as well as the team, as well as the organization, and beyond? And then, this is massive. So we've got teams. We've got teams who call themselves teams, but they work as groups. We've got teams who, with tiny low-hanging fruit and little tweaks, can become high-performing teams. So just have a think now. What's the difference between a team and a high-performance, high-impact, on-purpose, results-focused, high-performing team? I think I gave you some of the answers there. What's the difference in a team and a high-performing team? Put some things in the chat. And remember, with this, nobody gets it wrong. We're all learning together. What have we got there, Farah? Let's see if I can have a look. So, constructive criticism, absolutely.
High performance.
Thank you, high performance. How it affects the coachee, yeah. Shared goals, absolutely. Leaner, forming, storming, norming, performing, absolutely. So it's, think of the models: skills, knowledge, behaviors, reflection, action, results, working together in transition. What else have we got, Farah?
High performing teams have a high psychological safety feeling.
Oh my goodness, that is fabulous. Absolutely. And psychological safety, one of the things under that umbrella means they can suitably challenge each other, which Mike alluded to in the chat box, and they can lean on each other. There's trust. And there's so many beautiful things we can do to support teams in that. And that's not a session. How can that be a session? It's an ongoing thing that needs to take place. Commitment to work on it in business as usual as well. Alia, anything else?
Yeah, Sarah is saying a team is a combination of people, high performing one, a combination of people that trust each other and have the same objective and optimize on their backgrounds to reach it.
Fabulous. I might steal that definition. Okay, so teams and high performance teams. Oh, sorry, wrong slide. So high performance teams, they work efficiently and effectively. They challenge each other. They know why they're doing that tiny piece of work and the way that jigsaw piece fits into the bigger picture of the team's objectives, the organization's objectives, the values of the organization, and the way all that aligns to strategy. Okay.
I have another answer, yeah, from Dr. Haifa Faqih. According to the definitions of coaching, we don't give advice or consultations, but ask questions and having answers from the client to find themselves the way to get out of the problems. In this case, how this is going to happen with the group of people? This is a question. Can
you repeat that one for me?
Okay.
Sameera, join in with this one as well.
Hi, Coach Sameera.
أهلين وسهلين عليا شلونك؟ How are you?
أهلا وسهلا.
Alhamdulillah. Shukran jazilan.
Thank you.
Alia, read
Yeah.
that one to us again.
Yeah, and you can allow me to share my camera, please, as well.
Let's see what that question was.
I got the. Let's see. Here we go.
Whoever asked that question, take yourself off mute. Ask it to us here.
So it was a question about Claire and one-to-one coaching, as we understand, as per ICF, we don't give advice, right? We ask questions, we allow the space for the coachee to come up with answers. Great. How we can do that in group setup or team setup in this case? What would you say?
I'd say
That was the question.
I love it. Thank you. It's late at night. My mind must have just raced away a little bit. So one thing I would say is we can do it one-on-one. Why not with teams? Pure coaching with teams. Imagine this. It's literally a team, whether it's online or we're in a room or we're out in nature. For example, sat in a circle and we literally say, what do your stakeholders need you to work on today in this next hour or this morning? And we see what comes up from them. And we may prioritize all the things that come up. And we may get them to choose out of those topics, which one? Why that topic? Why now? Which one is the most pressing today? And then we just go there. So let's uncover a little bit more around this topic. What's your voice? What's your perspective on this topic? And then we can bring in an empty chair. Okay, ex-stakeholder. Let's say it's the executive sponsor of this project. Get someone to sit in their chair. What's their voice around this topic? Or Ren mentioned coaching a teacher before. Get one of the team, if you're coaching in schools, to sit in that chair. What's the parent's voice around this topic? So there we're doing pure coaching and we just blend and lead with whatever is going with them. Anything else, Sameera?
Yeah, I might even allude a little bit here in Arabic, you know. حاليا إذا احنا نشتغل مع فرق عمل، خلينا نقول فريق قاعد نشتغل وياه على إدارة مشروع وإحنا الكوتش، وهم فريق عمل حقيقي يعني they are a real team. Especially if I follow the Scrum framework with them. ففي الريتروسبكتيف هذا ما تيم أنا بسوي معاهم كوتشنج. شنو يا جماعة اشتغلنا عليه في الآخر سبرنت اللي مشى ويانا؟ شنو تتوقعون السبرنت الجاي اللي مفروض احنا نتبناه؟ What we can do next sprint to make it even better? What didn't work for us? So what I'm trying to say is we are still using a coaching framework within team, and it's quite possible.
Absolutely. And then think of the model as well, results. What results did we achieve? What do we need as a team to enable us to achieve even better results in the time frame that we've got? So much. So we've uncovered a little bit more about the difference between a team and a high-performing team. A little bit on costs, and we're going to an exciting activity soon. So here we are. So many things about costs. In fact, before you read that slide, put in the chat, you know a lot about the way to cost individual coaching, whether it's per hour or the package with the different things you may include. What ways might you cost team coaching? Blurt away in the chat. Yay, we can see you now, Sameera. Yay. What needs to be considered when we are costing team coaching?
يعني فكروا في كل الأشياء اللي بتحطونها في البروبوزل. يا أخي رحت حق شركة وقال لكم أنا عندي فريق عمل سيلز تيم ولا تريننج تيم وأعطونا تسعيرة شوي يختلف طريقة عمل البروبوزل حق التيم كوتشنج عن الون تو ون كوتشنج. شنو الأشياء الثانية اللي you might consider in this scope?
So we've got one thing there in the chat. So, you know what? We are not coaching you now. So it's okay for us to give you some answers. Here we are. And we've actually got about 3 slides on this topic alone, which we shared during our training. So what needs to be costed? Things like printing, the project management, the time if you're traveling to the team coaching, the resources you use in Miro, Jamboard, or your subscriptions to Zoom. All of these things are things that people don't always think about. Are you charging by the hour or the team coaching project? I charge in phases. The actual clarification, the working out where the needs are, and then moving into the main bit of the project.
I can see there من الأشياء اللي نحطها في بالنا وقت اللي نسعر عادة في التيم كوتشنج ما بيكون as direct نفس ما تشوفونه في one to one coaching. في one to one coaching عندنا مدراء, we have 3-4 managers or executives or a team or individual team members. خلاص أنت بتقعد معاه 3-4 hours and you will charge, you know, according to those hours maybe. But in team coaching شوي السيت اب يختلف لأنه you might need another coach معك. يمكن تحتاج couple of coaches معك, ويفضل أصلاً إنه you have couple of coaches معك. ممكن تسوي psychometrics اللي هو الاختبارات اللي تسويها المع. تعال الحين ترجم psychometrics بالعربي. بس مثلاً إن أي واحد إيش كثر التيم فعال حالياً, شنو شخصياتهم اللي موجودة. You might actually use Trello for project management, Jira مثلا. فهذه البلاتفورمز بعد من ضمن الأشياء اللي بتسعرها وكثير فوق ذي. I think Claire, we also can think about a lot of other things that can come in this scope as we are looking into virtual coaching and you know, embedding systems for the coaching to happen within the team.
Absolutely. And I think you mentioned there also the fact that we're coaching the individuals as well as the team.
Mm-hmm.
And then I alluded to it before, and I know that Sameera agrees, when you're coaching teams, put in your budget, and of course it's not going to be a line item, they don't need to know, put in your budget your supervision for you as a team coach, or if you're co-delivering, for you and the person you're co-delivering with to have supervision about the way you're working together, about the way the project's going, around pressure points, to help you resource, to help you benchmark, recalibrate, etc. Yeah. So, chat box time. When might team coaching be useful for teams? Let's see what we get.
Yeah. So Mike, yes, we do include the one-to-one. Yeah.
That's the platinum model. Any ideas?
By the time they write down, when do you think team coaching is useful as opposed to مثلا one-to-one coaching or group coaching, right? So, Claire, I would say even in the pricing part, you know, if you are hiring someone else and it's working with you within the scoping, you have to consider the preparation time, because you have a phase which is information gathering, and that can take a good chunk of your time. So you're attending their meeting, the team meetings, you're looking at that.
Yeah.
Right? So in what ways we can think about it?
Absolutely. And the other thing I mentioned before, observing their meetings and business as usual is all your time. So here's a truth. Sometimes the big companies, and I won't name them, sometimes they get in smaller organizations to do that first piece around clarifying needs. And the reason is because the smaller organizations tend to do that in even more detail, really interesting. And then they get in the big boys and girls to do the actual coaching. So interesting.
And I also notice if they are trained, if they are trained coaches inside the organization, what I notice that people, when they come to us to ask about either team coaching or even individuals, it's usually an HR or a OD, development. They've been through a coach training program. And that's the ideal thing. You have the buy-in either from the manager or the HR division.
Absolutely. So if it's a new team, fabulous place to team coach. Project team, they're together for a period of time.
Yeah.
The organization needs change, the strategy's changed. The team are dysfunctional, they're not working as a team, they're working as a group. So many reasons to coach teams. And here's some of the ways we can cost, just conscious of time as well now. So we can cost by the hour. We don't do it like that for team coaching. Day or half day, sometimes. We tend to do it as project phases, which is there. And then with some organizations, you may move to a retainer, certain amount of hours per month for this project.
Yeah.
So what we did about 2 years ago is create our team coaching competencies map to the model. This was also shared with ICF. And this is totally aligned to the ICF team coaching competencies. However, as well as this page, there's about another 10 pages of even more details breaking down each of those individual numbers. It's on our website. Very happy to share the link for those of you who love this type of stuff with all the detail. And here's a little task. Have a look at those. And we invite you to put in the chat which ones you don't know about. Just say don't know and the number. Which ones your strengths lie in. You can even just go for the big headings. Which is your growth edge? What do you need to know more about in terms of whether it's skills, knowledge, or behaviors around team coaching? Let's see what we get in the chat. Do you want that in Arabic too, Sameera?
Okay. يعني يوم أصلا إذا بنشوف لليوم الاتحاد الدولي حاليا ما كان عنده official. Actually, they just launched what is mapped towards the ICF competency, التيم competencies, بس ما كان موجود لفترة قريبة يعني. فوي شيرد احنا قلنا لهم ان احنا مسوين مع مؤسستين 3 في العالم اللي كانوا مسوين الجدارات لكوتشنج لفرق العمل. ابيكم تشوفونهم ذلين ولاحظوا اي واحد فيهم تتوقعون، بس كتبوا الرقم ان هذه نقطة قوة تعتبر عندي. I think we need to translate these, Claire, right? That's a good next project for me now. I will do that. So looking at,
There's May.
Yeah. You know what caught my attention here, Claire, is how easy, if we're going to talk about how easy it is transition for those who work from one-to-one coaching area and they're shifting into teams. Not necessarily in business. It can be an NGO team. It can be a team of teens, team of students. about that a little bit. How easy is that transition?
Yeah, so one thing I mentioned before, we totally feel the foundations as a confident coach in terms of authority, presence, and impact need to be there before transitioning because of the complexity. And our advice would be work with another experienced team coach, get coaching supervision, have the two of you team coaching together, learn from them, and then either stick with the two or go it alone. We, myself and Sameera, have coached many teams together. It's actually really nice as well. And it's more impactful for the team. You know, the thing about hard focus, so I'm focused over there in this conversation, and Sameera is watching the room and the level and the energy of the team at that point, or vice versa. So having 4 eyes and ears and everything else is really important, and tapping into your own embodiment. What is going on for you at that moment in the team coaching engagement? And sometimes we literally share in front of the team together, let them see the conversation. Hey, where do we need to go now? We throw it out to them and we discuss it live in front of them as well. So it's modeling best practice for them as team players. It's gorgeous stuff.
Yeah. Some nice comments here. Sir Alan says, like, you know, transition, if you're in one-to-one coaching, there is certain area you want to look for: the body language, the energy shift, the movement, the what's been said, what's not been said, and creating that trust and psychological safety in that conversation. So imagine that doing it with team of 12 or, you know, or even 4 people, not necessarily a big number, but you just multiply that by 4, or it's multiplying by 10.
Absolutely. So here's a little bit that we won't read through, but some data for you on teams and high performing teams. And then these are the types of things that may take place in a team coaching engagement. So checking out the purpose, ensuring there's clear roles, going to, you know, person specifications, job descriptions, job analysis, leadership, increasing the impact and clarity of communication. So many things there we can work on. Anything else, Sameera?
No, I'm quite happy there. And I'm also, because we are working as a team, my eyes are on the timer.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We need to get on. So here is a whistle-stop tour of a few slides, because we've got something nice we want to do with you as well. So skill drills. We're going to do some skill drills around with teams around generative thinking, adding on other people's ideas. That's that one. Playing with team purpose, going to the high dream. And if this team had all the money and time in the world, what would be happening then? And then looking at the pressure points in the team, what needs to transform? What way can we work with more agility? What way can we play with drama and psychodynamics to enable the teams to go into the space that they've never been before? I talked about the ladder of the journey of the team and where they are. And then the fact, of course, tapping into emotional intelligence and social intelligence, but over there in relational systems intelligence, that's where team coaching needs to be. The systems focus, and we'll leave that one for you to read through later. And then you've got so much amazing stuff out there in terms of, there we go, there's the dysfunctions. And if you look on the other side, when we have an absence of trust, what's the impact of that? Teams need trust and psychological safety to work. When there's fear, what's going on in the team and what's behind that, etc. And here's some of the things that team coaches say. They love it. It's a wider customer base. increased repertoire and tools and so forth, has a bigger benefit on people. It's more fun, more dynamic, more complex, and so on. Some of the projects we've done. So American Express directors across the Middle East in terms of tapping into innovation. Bahrain Airport Company was a fabulous one, and myself and Sameera learned so much about what goes into deciding where a new runway will be. Amazing stuff. Sadara and KSA moving towards a coaching culture, BNP Paribas in their strategy transformation, Yokogawa wanting to increase communication efficiency and effectiveness, DHL upskilling for rising stars in the teams. Any others? Lego with our team analysis profile at director level to enable identification of the impact and performance of teams. Any you want to mention, Sameera?
You mentioned a majority of them, but I'll bring a couple of them which we've done, which I've done here locally, which was with the, Talabat, with DHL, Fair. I don't see them there. Yeah, so these are a couple of other team projects been involved with. Yeah.
So we talk about proper team coaching. It's a project, not an event. It's relational. Outside in, future back. It's purposeful. We use profiles to assess needs. It's about people, performance, and processes, and of course, impact. Every team member's involved, and we all reflect as individuals and together. And everything is aligned to the purpose of the team. We know the ICF competencies, and let's get to this juicy bit. So I'm going to ask you to reflect in a minute. We talked about the different team coaching competencies there. And we really feel that thinking of yourself and where you are on your journey as a team coach is important. Capturing the learning and using all that you've got already in those team coaching situations in future to enable synergy in the teams and the systems that they are in. And we talk about different development for the team and individuals. This is a platinum roadmap for development. And there's so much on there, you're going to have to look at it all later. So different projects with teams. Here's a diagnostic that looks at individual team types. So for example, I'm an innovator and a finisher. I'm also an optimist. What are you? Which is your strength? Which is your growth edge? And think about this in relation to team coaching. What do you bring to the table as a team coach? So we use this with teams to see the team strengths and development areas of the individuals. That's what an individual profile looks like. This person, they're not a supporter, but they're an amazing analyst, optimist, and innovator. They're also a striver. They work hard and they don't mind putting the time and hours in. And they're also an asserter. But this maps 14 people in a team together. For example, this team's got 3 analysts and 6 people who do not like analysis, and it's not their strengths. This team's only got 1 optimist in the 14 people. And what's behind that? So the conversations from the profile data are the juicy stuff that allows the team to learn. But this is live 360, mapping out the team together. And what's really important is thinking beyond things we've not considered before. And to go there, mapping and align to the ICF team coaching competencies, we need data with a wide-angled lens, listening with compassion to everyone in the system. And here's what we do. We use a profile called the TAP 360 Team Advanced Profile mapped to the model. And it comes up with data from not only the team, the leaders identifying identifiable in terms of what they put, but also from the different stakeholders. And you can see the middle line is they neither agree nor disagree. To the right is they agree, and +2 is fully agree. To the left, disagree, and -2 is fully disagree. And by hearing the voices of the stakeholders, that's how we create a really impactful, important, aligned to purpose team coaching journey. And then, of course, there's also questions to consider around the data, working with the team and sharing the data. And as well, the narrative. People are allowed to put what the team should stop doing, what they should start doing, and what they need to continue doing. And when the team hear that and triangulate it and see the data from different sources, that really wakes up the team to focus on what's needed for their purpose. Key themes out the data, we'll share that later, some beautiful questions that we can work with the teams. So what we're moving to now, briefly, is a systemic constellation. We want you to think about where you are in terms of skills, knowledge, and behaviors as a team coach. And we're doing this interactively. So that's an actual constellation in person. People are placed in different places. And here is what we're going to do now. We've got some programs coming up. We can share those later with you if you wish. But are we moving, Sameera, to a link in the chat? Fabulous. So if you click the link in the chat, this will take you to a Miro board where we will enable you to consider as a metaphor where you are as a team coach initially, and then also where you need to be as a team coach. So go to the chat. When we're there, you can click the link, and then you can look at the Miro board. And we'll show it here. If you don't want to work on the Miro board, if you're not familiar with this, if you don't know how to write your name on a sticky, don't worry, you can still join in the activity. So click
so
the
you can,
link.
yeah. So what you can do is once you click to the link, this is an interactive board where you can zoom in or out. If it's an iPad, you can, you know, just zoom in and out with your, great, we have 4 or 5 people already there. Now,
Yay.
Claire, maybe this is another way that we use. Sometimes we actually bring them to this board and we have our Coach Me cards with questions, and we ask them to select a question they want, and they put their answer using a sticky note. However, we want you to come here. Don't play a lot there.
And we've got those in Arabic as well, but that's
Yeah, it is here actually. Yeah,
Yeah.
the Arabic one is on the right side. So we bring the entire team on Miro board, and then we ask them, which area do you want us to focus on today? They pick the sticky notes and so on. Anyway, let's come here to let me just bring you all to me.
The beautiful scenery. And we've got
Yeah.
the physical cards for when we actually work in a room with teams as well. So in terms of this diagram as a metaphor, where are you right now in terms of your team coaching? And here's what we invite you to do. Grab a sticky, write your name on it, and then place yourself on that diagram. And then we'll work with 1 or 2 of you in Arabic and English, so you can explore a little bit deeper. And why have you placed yourself in that place?
So the question
What's
is, where
going
do you
on for
find
you?
yourself in terms of understanding team coaching or being a team coach, or currently in the career of a team coach, and why you place yourself there. فشوفوا هاي المنظر استخدموه كتعبير مجازي كميتافور. اليوم مرحلتك من انت كوتش، كوتش محترف رايح او بتفكر في اصير كوتش لفرق عمل، وين انت اليوم؟ وين تشوف روحك؟ اختار الستيكي نوت ورقه واكتب اسمك عليه. ما شاء الله يعني it's a very nice crowd. They are why don't you come to all our events?
Yeah. And so here's the thing.
Like a moving audience.
It's great, lovely and colourful. And here's the thing, all of these types of online tools we include in our programs because we want to upskill you so you can use these with your teams. So what we might say to the team is, in terms of this project, where are you right now? And I may say, I'm at the top of the mountain. I'm the finance person. Everything's working perfectly. And someone else might say, I'm under the water. Nobody's playing ball with me. Everything's on hold because of COVID. Can you see how you can use it with teams and in team projects? So should we invite one person who wants to take their mute away and just explore with us a little bit deeper? Who would like to go a bit deeper into where you've placed yourself?
So
And
what
we'll
you
do
can
this
do is
together.
yeah, we can do that. And I'm also mindful of a time because we're out of time now. We might actually only do one and do a questioning with one, and then do the wrap up. So من فيكم حاب أن يفتح الميكروفون ونحصل دردشة خفيفة على وين تشوف روحك الحين. So who would like to go for that? I like it. They actually posted without writing a name, except of course for Alan. Thank you, Alan. Alan says, I'm partway up the mountain, still more skills to build. Alan, I'm right there with you.
Alan, will you come off mute so we can take that a little bit deeper?
Sure.
Thank
Sure.
you. Thank you. So what I'm noticing is you're halfway up the mountain and there's still there more room to go.
Sure. I do much more one-on-one coaching, and I feel I'm much more effective and had more time to practice that. In leading a team of coaches on a 2.5-year project, I did team coaching basically every week to every other 2 weeks of our team, and managing the personalities as we were digging through issues. And I took a quick look at the 5 dysfunctions of a team. There is a number of different dynamics that just trying to build awareness and all of those objectives in a coaching session while dealing with diverse personalities, issues, conflicts, sponsor issues, client issues, all those different things. It was tough to manage all that at one time. So that's why I feel like I still got a lot to learn.
Yeah. So Alan, I see the words still more to skill build. And when you've built more skills, what will that bring to you, your teams, and their purpose?
I think that, like in the individual coaching, where you're listening for what's not being said often, and for you're listening to what is the issue with the individual that may be behind the situation that's going on in the moment, and then you're trying to bring that out. In the same dynamic, I'd like to be able to pinpoint better what are the root issues in the team or the root conflicts that might be expressing themselves in a situation, and to help the team not to focus just on the situation, but to focus on the process of being more effective as a team and to some of the deeper issues that could make us as a team work better together. So I guess pinpointing the deeper dynamic would be a skill building area.
Beautiful. Thank you. So this is an example, and thank you for playing, Alan. And you can imagine there's a million questions we can then ask Alan. And then what we do, we ask all the other members of the team, and we hear everyone's voices. And we may ask them to step into the stakeholders and hear what's going on for them. And so much is uncovered in terms of whatever topic is being addressed in team coaching on that day. So that's just a little taste, and I wish we had longer. And hasn't the time flew into, I can't even speak proper English at this time of night. Hasn't the time flied? So any quick questions before we close? You can have our details. Very happy to also take them via email as well.
I just want to say that we will keep the board open for public. You can use it. You can go in, play with the cards and everything. If you have any questions, please come back with the cards.
And thank you to ICF Saudi for having us here today. We love sharing, we love learning, and we appreciate the invitation.
Thank you so much. It was such a pleasure and an honor having you today with us. I just, on final remarks, what can we do in terms of the CCEs? What do the participants need to do? Anything at this point? If you can just take us through this, we'll really appreciate it.
Sure.
Excellent. Thank you for
Dead
bringing
easy.
that up. Yeah. So there's a form link there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you fill in the form, that's a little evaluation. In there, you can put your email and your name. Make sure you put your name, how you want it on the certificate. We send that to our designer, and then we can email you the 2 CCE certificate from ICF.
But you need to just make sure to fill it within the coming 15 minutes. Right? Otherwise, we'll just stop the acceptance of the.
Thank you so much. It was amazing and informative, engaging, was very beneficial. So thank you so much for joining us tonight. And we hope we can continue collaborating in the future as well.
إن شاء الله. شكرا ريم، شكرا فرح، شكرا لكل أعضاء مجلس إدارة فرع السعودية الاتحاد العالمي للكوتشنج لاستضافتنا الكريمة، وإن شاء الله يكون بيننا تعاون مستمر. بالعكس إحنا حاضرين وجيران بعد، على الأقل ما نقدر على الأقل نشوفكم أونلاين. So thank you very much. Yeah.
أهلا وسهلا، أهلا وسهلا.
And thank you to all the coaches who are dedicated to your professional development for turning up today.
And sorry for those who we didn't take the questions from.
Yeah. And for our members and community, thank you so much for attending and being with us tonight. We hope you all have a great night. Do I need to keep the session open for the link, or once they get it, it's done?
Yeah.
It's fine.
Let's give them around 2-3 minutes.
Okay,
just
sure.
Make sure and everybody يعني عشان ما حد يروح تعرفين they click on the link and it doesn't open, so we are here to answer them.
Sure. Okay, we'll
And the other thing is, from your Zoom, Farah, you'll know how long people attended.
Yes.
If people attended an hour or an hour and a half, we can, with their emails, still send their certificates, because it measures the amount of time they're on. It's a good spy Zoom.
Wonderful, wonderful. We'll definitely provide this information as well.
If they want the certificate.
Yeah, absolutely. Really appreciate it. So while we're waiting, if there's anyone who'd like to comment, ask a question, or just share their thoughts with us, please go ahead.
We had Mr. محمد نجم يعقوب رافع يده من مساعة. I wonder if he still wants to ask the question.
Oh, okay, here we go.
تفضل أستاذ محمد.
السلام عليكم.
عليكم السلام وياسم، شلونك؟
الله يسلمك. كوتش سميرة، شلونك؟ أخبارك؟
يا حي الله نيانا.
الله يسلمك. كوتش عندي بس سؤال بالنسبة حق التيم كوتشنج. حسب اللي أنا عارفه أخلاقيات هاي الICF ان تكون في سريه، بس انا اشوف التيم كوتشنج ما راح تكون في سريه. ممكن تجاوبيني على هاي
وسؤال كلش حلو وممتاز. فكر ان هي سريه بينهم كلهم، لان في التيم ما يمكن بعد في شوي مفهوم يلخبط. التيم كوتشنج جزء كبير، جزء منه انهم كلهم او بيكونون مع بعض. خلينا ناخذ على سبيل المثال عندك 5 اشخاص وهم فريق عمل، فالكوتشنج بيصير مع الافراد بروحهم، مع الفانكشنز اللي لهم داعي انه يصير كوتشنج، مثلا مدير الماليه مع مدير الفلاني، او فانكشن 1 وفانكشن 2، او كلهم مع بعض مع التيمات الثانيه اللي لهم خص فيهم. فلاحظ الداينامكس تختلف. ذاتس واي الكونتراكتنج مالك لازم يكون واضح، توضيح العلاقه والاتفاقيات والاتفاقيات مالت السريه، ودي لازم تكون واضحه، ان انتم ترى بتتكلمون قدام بعض. حتى لو قالوا اوكي راح ياخذ منك وقت طويل لين ما يبنون هذه الثقه، مو بس بينهم وبين بعض، بينهم وبينك ككوتش. That's why العلاقة والسيت اب الانفايرمنت والسيستم معقد أكثر من 1 to 1. So it was a very yeah, go ahead محمد.
هل راح تكون الاتفاقية بالنسبة حق التيم كوتشنج بين هذه مثل ما يقولون الجزئية أو البند في الاتفاقية مع هاي، إنه راح نتكلم مع بعض وأكثر من كوتش ممكن يعرف من البارتيسبنتس أو الأشياء اللي سوى كوتشنج معاهم عن الأشياء بتخص البروجكت أو الأورجنايزيشن.
إيه، وحتى هم يتفقون، يعني لأن العلاقة الدايناميك مالها كومبلكس، فالاتفاقيات تكون واضحة. فالمؤسسة بتسوي اتفاقية مع الكوتش، أو خلينا الشركة اللي بتسوي الكوتشنج مع المؤسسة، مع كل الأطراف اللي لهم خص، سواء كان الليجل ولا تيم ليدر ولا أي حد له خص في الموضوع، بيصير فيه اتفاقيات معهم. بعدين في اتفاقية التيم نفسه، تعرف ان انتم كمجموعه تقعد معاهم الحين انتم شنو اللي بتجيبون في هذه الاتفاقيه وشنو تبون تستثنونها. وبعدين يا محمد ترد تسوي الاينس بينك وبين الانديفيدوالز، لان انت بتسوي جلسات شخصيه بعد. اذا في بعض المواضيع ما تخص التيم اصلا.
بالضبط.
فلان العلاقه الدايناميك مالها شوي معقده، فالكوتش او المجموعه الكوتشز اللي بيشتغلون في هذا النوع من المشاريع لازم يكون عندهم وسائل محدده واضحه جدا لعمل الاتفاقيات بين كل الاطراف.
كنت سميرة،
This is a very nice question, Claire. We will reflect on it together later on. I'll tell you about it. أتمنى أن جاوبتك أستاذ محمد.
أي جواب كافي، بس هل من الممكن التدريب على التيم كوتشنج بالنسبة حق اللي متعودين يسوون individual coaching؟
عاد هذه بتصير دعاية الحين بيزفونا مال شو اسمه الاتحاد.
لا كثير.
اي طبعا، في كذا مدرسة في العالم، واحنا من ضمن المدارس بعد اللي عندهم تخصص حق التيم كوتش. بس هل يصير اذا الكوتش يشوف له معنى هو ليش يبي يصير تيم كوتش؟ اذا في له معنى هدف موجود عند الكوتش يبي يتحول من individual او يدمج الانديفيدوال براكتسز مع التيم، وفي عنده سبب يحفزه من داخل انه يروح، اي طبعا
kind of development يعني one of the point.
True. Yes. واحدة من النيشز، واحدة من النيشز اللي وايد بيصير فيها طفرة حاليا.
Thank you very much. Thank you Coach Clare and Sameera.
عفوا.
Okay. Thank you so very much. And again, we enjoyed it tremendously. You all have a good night. Thank you.
مع السلامة.
مع السلامة.
باي باي.